Welcome to the Firehorse podcast, where we talk to B2B founders and leaders about their real life experiences and wisdom on building, selling, and scaling businesses, and gain insights into what actually works across sales, marketing, go-to strategy, and AI. Today, I'm joined by John Linss, founder of CoreSpeed. John has a background spanning entrepreneurship, C-level leadership, and M&A, including taking companies public, and is now building CoreSpeed, a business that combines technology, data, and systems to deliver health and performance outcomes at scale. John, it's great to have you on. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Emily. I appreciate it. Really glad to be here.
Good. So before we get into it, can you please give us just a quick overview of CoreSpeed and specifically what made you decide to build CoreSpeed?
So CoreSpeed actually is a company that I started over 20 years ago in 2004. And it's gone through various processes to get to where we are today. I've been building businesses my whole life. And I've been helping other companies build their business through systems development as well as product development. So in the course of the last 25 years, built out half a dozen multi-tenant platforms. I'll talk about what that is in a minute. And also about three marketing automation platforms, most recently sold to SugarCRM. So I've had a lot of experience in building things, and CoreSpeed Health is where we're headed next, as well as PharmaBuilt AI. They are complementary initiatives within our portfolio.
Perfect. And you've mentioned to me before that you've been working in AI since 2013. So I want to know what your perspective on AI is and how it's changed over time, especially now that it's become so mainstream.
So back in the day, we were doing big data. And so the first thing we started with was machine learning. And the AI components were more algorithmic than intuitive. They typically were looking for very, very specific outcomes. And as we progressed in time, we started seeing AI becoming more useful in a variety of areas. Today, AI has a lot of funding. There was no funding. We were building our own stuff, right? And it's kind of like back in 2006, I had a hosting company. We had about 100 companies on this platform, and Amazon came calling and said, "We have this new product called EC2, and it's in beta. We'd like you to take a look at it and see if you'd consider using it." And so I said, "Okay, well, we have a cloud product, and we called it grid computing." Looked at it, and my team said, it's really immature, really isn't going to help us. A year later, I moved all 100 customers over to EC2 because Amazon threw $1 billion at it, and they far surpassed what we were doing. And it made it more effective, more cost effective, as well as more efficient for us to move our platforms that way. So I see AI doing the same thing, and there's trillions of dollars chasing AI. The problem is whenever you start a new technology, there's a hype cycle that you go through. Gartner coined that, and we're not yet in the trough of disillusionment. We're still in the, moving up the slope to, set expectations. And a lot of people have expectations of AI that really isn't accurate today, but it's getting there. In the next year or two, I think you're going to see amazing things happen. And we're using AI in a number of areas of our business as well. It really has saved us a lot in certain areas, but you got to watch it, because it has hallucinations. It doesn't always understand your prompts. So you have to be very careful when you use AI in a production environment.
Definitely. Well, that leads on quite nicely to my next question, because we wanted to ask, how do you use AI today in your businesses?
So within CoreSpeed Health, we have built out a multi-tenant platform that we provide to our medical, wellness, and fitness practitioners that allow them to more effectively recommend nutritional supplements to their clients. And we built out a SKU management system. SKU is a stock keeping unit, so it's part of our inventory management system. And we used AI to design and help build that. We use AI for blog generation because our partners need to have good content in their sites. So AI is being used to generate blogs. And then we also use it for newsletters. We have a direct-to-consumer division that we also use AI for from the point of view of obtaining internet signals so that when we send an email, it's tailored to that individual that's opted in. And we use AI through the whole process of sending and managing campaigns. We're doing some work around code generation for new features, but we're finding it's not quite where we would hope it to be, but it does speed some things up for our senior developers, and I have a lot of hope for that in the future.
Cool. So, from what you explained to me when we last spoke, there's quite a lot going on behind the scenes in terms of system and automation. So, can you walk me through how the platform works on a high level?
So I'll kind of give you a perspective of the overall business because that will give you context for why we have what we have in our platform. A few years ago, my wife and I wanted to have a baby with IVF, and the fertility clinic gave us a list of supplements a mile long. And she said, "So where do we get those?" And they said, "Doesn't matter, you can get them anywhere." I'm an endurance hiker and a landscape astrophotographer. I do a lot of hiking. I carry heavy packs when I'm carrying my camera equipment. And, I've crossed the Grand Canyon from the north to the south rim in one day. I've climbed Mount Whitney, the tallest mountain in the 48 states, in one day. So I need to be fit, right? I'm 67 years old and I use supplements to help augment my nutrition. So I've done a lot of research. And one of the things I learned in that research is that 80% of the nutritional supplement products that are on Amazon today are either fake, outright fakes, or they don't have in them what the label says they do. And these are studies you can find on the internet. They're published studies. So I knew that I couldn't just go out and find something that way. So we took a better part of a day to find out what we were going to take, who we were going to get it from. And it cost a fair amount of money because quality always costs money. And I thought to myself, this is a really lousy patient experience. Now, I didn't blame the doctors. They have 4 years of medical school. In 4 years of medical school, they don't receive a single hour of instruction on nutrition, nutritional supplements, fitness, or overall wellness. How are they going to make a good recommendation, right? They've cobbled together some recommendations, some doctors. I've had 3 GPs, general practitioners, that have recommended supplements for me. One sent me to a website that they wanted me to buy them from. The second said, just go out and find it wherever you can. And the third had an inventory. So they were selling it out of their own stock. Within a year and a half, that doctor quit selling supplements because they just couldn't handle inventory management and all the things that go into selling products. Doctors focus on sick care. They don't know how to do well care because they're not taught that. They don't know how to do commerce with products because they're not taught that. So what they need is an easy button. And so that's what set me off to start looking at what ultimately became CoreSpeed Health. As I said, I've built a lot of technology over the years, and I recognize that the best way to do this was to give the doctor their own website branded for them. And so we built this multi-tenant platform so I can generate a website for a doctor in about 8 minutes, fully branded for them with a custom catalog, a shopping cart, and payment processing. And then I also give them a brochure. I actually have one here that is branded for them, and it's got QR codes in it. So all they have to do to make a recommendation to a patient is to check a box and give it to the patient and say, I want you to take this. The patient then hits the QR code. It takes it into the doctor's site. They add it to the cart and check out, and that starts a subscription. And they get a box in the mail every 30 days with 60 daily packets in it, because it's got to be easy for the patient too. Most patients have a cabinet full of supplements that they've acquired over time. Most of them they don't take anymore. They have kind of cobbled together a strategy for health and wellness. And I felt like what we needed to do is we needed to build an engineered health system with specific health protocols, such as GLP-1, anti-aging, men and women's health. So that's what we did. I built the platform. I established a manufacturing concern, and we started manufacturing supplements. But before we did that, I assembled a world-class R&D team of supplement scientists and registered pharmacists that have been compounding in pharmacies for years, actually 4 decades, some of them, and doctors. And what we did is we took a look at the scientific studies that are out there because we believe clinical studies are the best guide to determining what you should do in terms of assembling a good engineered health system. So we created a number of blends for our health protocols so that you just get what you need, nothing you don't, and no fillers. First quality, we track our quality relentlessly. And because we manufacture it, we have control over the quality. So, what we have now is a network of medical wellness and fitness professionals that are using materials that we give them. We give them a book that has all the clinical studies for every ingredient in our protocols. And so they have a comfort level that what they're recommending is good for their patients. So let's say, for example, the doctor says, okay, your labs say you're having trouble with blood sugar. I want you to take the blood sugar support protocol. And they check that box, give it to the patient, and the patient is going to have better compliance because it's easy for them and it's easy for the doctor. And here's the kicker: the doctor makes money. Doctors can't make more money usually with what they got. They have enough people and enough exam rooms to do the practice that they have. If they want to make more money, they have to add people, which means they have to add exam rooms. That's a very expensive proposition. With this approach, they're in the supplement business and they have not only recurring passive income, but growing recurring passive income because it's a subscription. So they add 10 patients this month, 10 patients next month. Now they're getting income from 20 patients. So it's a thing of beauty for everybody, right? We grow our company. They take care of their patients with high quality, science based supplements. Patients get supplements that change how they feel. I take these myself. I was taking 25 capsules myself before I started this. I'm down to 13. I sleep better. I feel better. Everything about it is better. And so that is the practitioner network part of our business. We also have obviously the manufacturing. Then we now have a direct to consumer offering that we've recently spun up.
Now we all have a better understanding of exactly what the company does. Can you answer about the systems and automation side, just high level, just to let us know what's going on there?
Certainly. So it starts with an order, right? The patient receives the brochure, they come into the system, they place an order. From that point on, it's all automated. The order goes to our fulfillment center. It's fulfilled within 2 days. The order ships to the patient. Our support organization is notified so that they can reach out to the patient themselves, make sure that they got what they expected, make sure that everything's good. And on a periodic basis, there's an automation that sends out regular communications to make sure that they're getting good information about their health need, as well as having access to our people to ask questions. From a factory point of view, our factory is hooked into our fulfillment center, which is hooked into our e-commerce platform. So all of the fulfillment is automated and all of the order processing is automated.
Perfect. Great system. So obviously you mentioned you're selling through medical and wellness professionals. So how do you go about acquiring those partners and how do you find them, get them on board? What's working best for you right now?
So I've got a lot of experience in the healthcare industry. So I know a lot of doctors. I know doctors' networks. I have connections to reps. So we have independent reps out there. We also attend trade shows, and we haven't been doing a lot of sort of social media promotion to that channel. That's going to be changing because we're spinning up we've already got it done. We've got an entire marketing group on board, and they work for us only, and they do not only email marketing, but they also do social media marketing because you have to have that air cover, right? If you're building a brand, you have to have that air cover. Not only that, our PharmaBuilt brand is the consumer market brand, but it's also the practitioner brand. So we get good synergy across those brands, the CoreSpeed Health to PharmaBuilt, and in our network, it enables us to get great testimonials, not only from our partners, the doctors, but also from their patients.
Are you using AI at all to leverage finding connections and partnerships?
Yes, yes. I basically built out an entire marketing platform. I had a marketing automation background, so this is my fourth one. And there's a number of factors that come into play. I have access to over 70 million emails. I get daily feeds that come from internet signals through AI that we bring in on a daily basis. And there's a full automation to process that data, validate the opt-in component of it, validate that the email is valid so that we get good deliverability. We have a 0 bounce rate with our platform.
Amazing.
And it goes into the queue for us to send out emails. Now, you can't send out 70 million emails to somebody or, to the market and expect any sort of deliverability. That's crazy. So we first of all had to warm up our channels, and then we had to slowly start sending emails. And we're in that process now. But our platform has been designed to send millions of emails a day. AI monitors the entire process. It throws off messages if there's anything that happens in there that shouldn't be happening, and it monitors our reputation scores because our reputation is critical for deliverability. When we send out an email, there's a link in that email. When the individual clicks on it, it takes it into PharmaBuilt.ai, which there's a form there that they fill out. And on the back end, we have algorithmic processes and augmented by AI that make a recommendation for the best products for them to have. When they choose the final result, usually give them 3 choices, maybe 2, depending on their answers. When they click on the submit button for that particular product, it takes them into the checkout process, and it's very streamlined.
Sounds really good. So, obviously, you're combining a physical product with a digital platform. What have been the biggest challenges for you making that work?
Well, there's been a lot of challenges. The hardest part probably was the manufacturing. Many years ago, I had some experience in manufacturing and distribution, but that's been a long time ago and never in nutritional supplements. So I had to spin up on nutritional supplements, even though I had an amazing R&D team. I need to understand this. If I don't understand the nuts and bolts of my business, I'm not going to be successful. I firmly believe that. So I start from understanding the business, and I started off thinking, okay, we're going to have individual supplements. We'll combine them together in bundles, and that's how we're going to go to market. It didn't solve one of the problems, and that is just the right amount. No more, no less. When you sell full pills of the same thing, you're going to have issues, right? You also have to acquire those. And I didn't trust the manufacturers out there. Too much hanky-panky going on. Here in the United States, there's not a lot of regulation. So people do a lot of shady things. And I just couldn't afford for my name to be associated with anything like that. I've always believed in having first quality in everything that I do. And so the only way, if you want it done right, you do it yourself. So that was a little painful. That cost me a lot of money because I had to set up all of our manufacturing system, had to begin to acquire products. I had to design the products first. So that took, well, I always say that when you start up a company, it usually takes 3 times longer and twice the money than you expect it will. And so it took longer, right? Because I put a hold on launching because I wanted to get these blends right. Now we've trademarked these blends, they're proprietary to us, but they're fully transparent. We tell you everything that's in them because we don't want to be accused of hiding things. That's just not good. Too many people say we have proprietary blends and they don't tell you what is in it, but we tell you everything that's in it. And then we wrap it. So we have the health need protocol that is really focused on by the blend and maybe some supportive components. And then we have other components for overall health and wellness, sleep, and so forth, so that it's an holistic approach to wellness. And what that provides is health span. A lot of people talk about longevity. I don't want longevity. I don't want to live 100 years and the last 30 years be sick. I want to live 100 years and live it healthy and well. And I want to still be climbing mountains when I'm in my 80s and 90s. So that was one of the biggest challenges that I faced was getting that right. Obviously, you go through things, you pivot, in technology when you're doing things. I pivoted into a direct consumer faster than I had originally anticipated. So there was some challenges that came with that, but I've got an amazing team and they've really done a great job with that.
Awesome. So I think, well, I'm sure you've touched on a few of these things already, but what do you think you're doing differently to most other companies in this space?
Well, it's really clear to me the difference. Most companies market a single product that has 1 or 2 or maybe 5 ingredients in a capsule, and they give the impression that it's a silver bullet, and they market, say, magnesium or curcumin or beetroot powder. That's not a health system. You're cobbling together a do-it-yourself health system. Individuals that take supplements don't have the education and the experience to craft the right health system for them with the right protocols. We bring to them protocols proven in our medical and wellness networks that we know, and I take them myself, by the way, but we know that our engineered health system produces health protocols that are very effective. They change how you feel. I would ask your audience to stop taking all their supplements for 3 weeks and see what happens. Do they feel different? If they don't feel different, what they're doing probably isn't making a difference to them. Now, there's some things from an anti-aging point of view that are foundational, mitochondrial type health products. We have those in all our products. But most of the things that you're going to take, you want to have a different feel, right? You want to feel better. You want to have good, solid, restorative sleep, not just sleep through the night, but sleep through the night and wake up refreshed and ready for the day and have energy throughout the day. And when things hit you that you don't expect or that are negative, you still have a positive attitude. That's what a good engineered health system will do for a person. You can't get that by cobbling together a bunch of extraneous samples and try to come up with something that works for you.
So, where do you see this going in the next few years?
Well, we're growing pretty fast. A lot of good things are happening. We are focused right now on North America. The reality is in this market, it's a big market. It's a multi-trillion-dollar market, and it's growing. The general nutritional supplement is growing at a CAGR, a compound annual growth rate of about 7%. Well, personalized nutritional supplement market is growing at about 15 to 17%. So there's a lot of opportunity out there for us to acquire. That being said, we will expand internationally over time, but that is a big deal. It costs a lot of money, and the biggest challenge is maintaining quality. I'm not going to abdicate my manufacturing to someone that I can't guarantee quality. Probably have to do it myself. And so that's very costly to do, and we wanna do it right. And then you have different regulations in other countries. You have to, go into a country eyes wide open with all of the extra costs that you have market to market so that you can provide compliant products, compliant processes, because not just products, it's also processes. Engineered health systems are not just about quality and formularies. It's also about the process that you manufacture with. How do you maintain provenance of those ingredients so that if you ever have an issue, you have traceability? How do you maintain different suppliers? You have to do that sometimes, right? I might not be able to use a supplier in the UK that I can use here in the States because they don't ship overseas or there's a variety of reasons, right? So there's a lot of factors that go into play when you start looking international.
Well, I've said to you before, I want you to come to the UK, so you've got to make it happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, one more quick question for you, please, John. If anyone wants to find out more about CoreSpeed Health, where's the best place for them to go?
Well, CoreSpeedHealth.com will give you a really good understanding of how the system works. We have a shopping cart and a catalog on that site, and you can actually buy on that site. It'll tell you a little bit about the company. We're getting ready to go ahead and deploy another site called CoreSpeed.com, which will have a bifurcated path. If you're a consumer, you go one way. If you're a practitioner, you go another way, and you get everything you need related to your interest. We also have PharmaBuilt.ai, and that's where you can go to get a recommendation on a health protocol that is best for you. And you're also welcome to reach out at support@corespeed.com, and I see all those emails.
Excellent.
I'm not a micromanager, but I'm a micro watcher.
It's good. It's important that everyone gets responded to personally, even better.
Right. I like to know what's going on in the business and it's all about customer experience, isn't it? That's what started this whole thing, with a poor customer experience. I don't ever wanna have my customer say to me, "But I thought," so that means I have mismatched expectations. If they're thinking something and they're not seeing what they thought was gonna happen, that's a bad thing. And I also want it to be easy for them. If they have to figure stuff out, that's a problem. We want to take the friction out of the overall process of health and wellness. And one last thing, I'm really hopeful that we can have some change policies in this country. I spoke with Chris Klump, the deputy administrator for the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, and we talked about health and wellness, nutritional supplements. They were focused on getting the universities to add in curriculum for health and for wellness, actually. And of weeks later, or a couple of weeks ago, they announced that they've done that. 55 universities have agreed to add in 40 hours over a 4-year period on wellness. It's a small start, but it's a start. But my belief was that if Medicare and Medicaid doctors have a requirement to have a wellness component in their practice, that will immediately impact our population health here in the United States. And I think it could do wonders for other countries as well. But I'm thinking about the US right now. And with a stroke of a pen, they change the policy. They don't mandate how they do it, but they do mandate traceability and results based reporting. I think that would go very far towards professionalizing the nutritional supplement, not only industry, but how they're administered. And two, educate the physicians. And three, we now have a population that is healthier. And that reduces cost overall for the US government, which means it reduces the cost overall for the American taxpayer because our people are healthier. 80% of our illnesses are lifestyle illnesses, right? And so if you can take those lifestyle illnesses out of the mix, people are going to live longer, healthier, and the overall cost of taking care of them goes way down.
Thank you, John. This has been a very interesting conversation, especially hearing how you're combining your technology systems with real world outcomes. Thank you again for your time. Really appreciate you. And to our audience, thanks for listening, and we hope to see you again next time.